Hey, true conceivers, welcome to the Heroic Origins podcast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Terrance, and we're just two comic book nerds doing what we love to do.
Make up new superheroes.
We're going to take some random words and pictures,
Then riff off of them until we come up with a fully fleshed out superhero. We've given ourselves a time limit, one 40-minute regulation brainstorming period.
If we still haven't finished our hero by then, we'll move to a lightning round with 2 additional minutes per character element and one 5-minute revision period.
Now let's get ready because it's collaborating time. All right. What did you put up I wasn't watching the screen. Did you put something on the screen?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Then that must have been a ghost. Let's see here. All right, let's share. We're gonna have to come up with our random words, and in order to do that, let's pull up our the randomizer here. All right. I'm gonna choose 3 new words. That's just sort of what came up the first time. So we got 3 new words here, and an ad. Okay, sorry. Hey, it's randomwordgenerator.com. That's what we use. So that's the ad. There you go. You don't have to watch their video.
It's right there at the top,
All right, we got Crebrus, which means frequent. Very interesting.
Ichnology.
Sure.
Science of fossilized footprints.
That's kind of interesting. And then the definitions. Let's see. Phototachometer. It's an instrument for measuring the speed of light. Ooh. I like our words.
Yeah, these are good words.
Okay, now I'm going to copy this over to the official outline for the Heroic Origins podcast. Terrance, can you give us the copy and paste music? Whistle us a tune.
Should I pull out a ukulele here or something?
That's right. Actually, hey, why not? Pull up the ukulele. We should have the super ukulele. Absolutely.
Well, actually, maybe now would be a good time to talk about words. Lots of words. 50,000 words, because it's NaNoWriMo month.
Okay, NaNoWriMo month.
Started at the beginning of November. Do you know the first day of November is also National Author Day?
Really?
Yeah, so
why, and that must be why they do NaNoWriMo and Nano.
I don't know if that's why, but I mean, I just found that out this year. So I was just like, oh, it's National Author Day. I was like, oh, and it's also the first day of NaNoWriMo. So I like NaNoWriMo. If anybody does,
it sounds like it's too much of a. Sounds like it's too much of a. Oh, come on! I didn't capture the eye. There we go. Okay, now we got to make it all the same.
But I mean, if you think about it, we do a tiny NaNoWriMo every month for one character. Well, we do a tiny brainstorm at random, quickly pantsed, completely not planned.
Wait, completely pantsed? Is that
okay, you've got pantsers and you got planners. People who just write by the seat of their pants are pantsers.
Oh, jeez. Okay. So I didn't know what you were talking about there.
Yeah. I guess that does get, yes. No, yeah. I never wear pants.
Running around
wearing pants,
pulling the pants off of authors or off of characters or something.
No, it's just writing terms. I guess author terms. Okay. Author talk.
All right, so we got our random words here. We got Crebrus. Yeah, so that's interesting. Okay, but we like these words. We got a good selection of words to work with.
Yeah,
that's good. Now we get to choose our random photo.
Yes. Which is are we gonna do a new one? That's horrifying.
Well, do you want to keep this one or move on to try another one?
I don't want to look at that.
Okay, I think it's actually kind of cool. It's a flying dog, dude. Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
Okay, well, this is our picture.
Is that the dress? What is that? Is that like her body?
I think that's her. I presume this is a.
It's definitely like her. Yeah, it's like. Well, no, I think it's like a Photoshop thing where.
You think it's Photoshop? Yeah, I guess it could be. But it could be like some sort of.
That looks like a digital knife put on some model lady. But
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Well, but
Like,
that's okay. But it's interesting to look at. So, all right, let's. I think we've got our materials, our random elements.
yeah.
These are the random elements we've got to work with while
Hmm.
creating our new superhero. So
Superhero.
now let's get ourselves on the clock.
On the clock.
Clockmaster
All right.
Terrance.
Oh, you want me to activate
Yeah,
that?
well, just so we don't freeze up, one person needs to be the clockmaster.
I'm the ruler of all time.
That's right. All right,
I'm
here we
Lord.
go. Crebrus. Well, it's frequent. I like that we have like something that's like frequent, but then you've got ichnology, which is about fossilized footprints, which is something that's it's like very time. This is all very time related, right?
I
So,
guess, yeah. Yeah, I see that.
uh,
The fossils, yeah. I hadn't thought
so
of the fossil. That was where I was getting stuck on the footprints because I was like, yeah. But yeah, I see that.
but yeah. So that's kind of I don't know. I'm thinking about like a detective superhero who's got what if they could actually not see footprints, but could actually fossilize them somehow, or make little plaster casts of like sort of a 3D printing superhero that could create would find clues and could create 3D replications of what made those clues or something.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Well, I'm thinking, okay, so you're measuring the speed of light. So you're really hypersensitive, right? I mean, I don't know. That's what I think. It's like that's minute, and then you got and frequent. Maybe they can create like clones of like time clones of people or something like
Hmm.
they recreate the murderer like I don't know.
Oh, sort of like okay, so like you have like that. What was that movie Manhunter? Where which was the Hannibal Lecter story, right? They had a profiler. I guess I'm just thinking of a profiler. You have a profiler who creates a mental construct of the person that they're chasing, but this would be a character who actually creates a physical construct of the.
Right, right. But that could get I make a duplicate of you to follow the murderer who is actually the murderer. I've made another murderer.
Well, what if they're all kind of cold cases? What if they're all like time? What if this is okay? This is a weird idea, but what if it's like a guy who um, solves crimes that happened in the past, but actually does it by connecting with the historical people. Sort of like I'm a time traveler, but I can't, but I can sort of sense things from the future about this past event, but it's obviously doesn't make a difference in real time, because this was hundreds or thousands of years ago. And I'm just trying to think like what if I'm here in the future? I'm here in the present,
Hmm.
and I had a power to be able to communicate with Scotland Yard 150 years ago, and I was able to look at the crime scene. I was somehow able to see the crime scene, but I couldn't physically be there. It's a weird
Oh,
idea.
let's see. I was thinking, what if you could because I'm looking at this image and I just keep thinking like slicing or splicing time somehow, or
Oh,
like
okay.
dividing something, and maybe they make they make branches off of like the timeline, like they splice that time, and so then I don't know though how that would like are they solving an actual crime like they're following and solving a crime, then they got to get back to the actual timeline from
By the way, we actually have somebody on chat who's saying, "What am I watching?" Greg Johnson asks, "What am I watching?" Let me see. I think we can actually put this on screen.
oh yeah, look at that. Well,
We're
watching.
brainstorming a superhero. Okay, sorry. Please say what you just said, Terrence. I apologize. I was distracted.
No, just saying if they split off of the timeline and they created their own timeline by
Oh, so they.
splicing.
Sort of like you split off the timeline to see what are the possible things that could have happened at this crime scene.
Right, right, or yeah, you know,
Sort of like do you go back in time to the um Do you go back in time to when the crime happened, and that's where you split off time?
Like, what if they lived? Like, sort of thing. I don't know.
Well, that's a possibility, sure. I mean, this is I guess the thing is like you split off the timelines, you're going to be able to see who the criminal was. If you can go back to the scene
Right.
of the crime, you'd be able to see who the criminal was. So it doesn't really the
What if
mystery is
it's
gone.
just like you can do things like, what if the victim had lived and then you have you can pull it like a slice of them into the present of them living. So you're solving crimes with the victims.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're creating like a ghost.
Yeah.
Would that make it too easy though, right? I mean, this is the thing. Like because like
Or a
not
copy that doesn't remember that is, that's from like a time where they didn't die. So they're like, well, who killed me? Who would want to kill me? Why did
so okay, so that it's a parallel okay, so it's a parallel timeline. So it can't be that they're pulling them from like a timeline where they were stabbed but they survived the stabbing.
right. It's just
So it would have to be a more distant timeline. It couldn't. Well, what if it's? But what I mean, how related is the timeline?
I mean, that's isn't that the writers? Because maybe they're from a time. I mean, they could be vastly different timelines where everybody's a lizard person. And
Well, you see, that's the thing. It's like that wouldn't help at all, right?
no, but that would
So,
make it for more difficult to solve your crime.
but that well, like say, unless there is some sort of like temporal inertia or something, or there's not even temporal inertia, but sort of like maybe there are rules to the timeline that those old sitcoms they would you'd go back and you'd recreate Charles Dickens, but it would always be the same actors, right? So it'd
Right.
be like a different timeline, but it was always the same characters
Oh,
filling those. So what if it's like that? What if it's like you can pull up people from alternate timelines, and all the characters in their lives are the same, but they're filling these different roles. So you have to sift through the narrative, and you could go through multiple timelines. That's the whole thing. It's like you go through these multiple timelines
uh-huh.
trying to figure out, well, who's the person that tried to murder this person? Because
Right.
we all know that the relationships all continue on.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You could write these things on paper.
I think twice me, okay?
Okay.
All right. We have our regular visitor.
20 p.m.
I'll be done in a little bit. All right.
All right. So
In
I
32
like
minutes.
to say. So what if it was like that? What if it's like? Because that would be weird. Because then we would be able to do things like where we pull up a Christmas Carol of Charles Dickens, or we could do recreation, our version of Dune or something like that.
I'm
And they're
still
all.
trying. I don't think I'm wrapping my head around what you're saying though. Like
Well,
that.
I'm just saying. Okay, you know what I'm saying about like old sitcoms. They would just take the same characters but
Right.
put them into this other literary setting
Right.
or other fictional setting.
Yeah.
So they're all the same characters. You now imagine those that was actually just an alternate timeline.
Okay.
And what there are is the rules to alternate timelines are that your relationships are always the same, but the superficial things change.
Okay. But so then what is
What you're trying it becomes a puzzle because what you're trying to do is you're trying to figure out what are the relationships that have led to this murder in our timeline. So
based on?
you're examining like okay, say that you and I
Mhm.
were in a Christmas Carol,
Okay.
and I'm Ebenezer Scrooge,
Okay.
and you're like the ghost of Christmas past or something like that.
Okay.
Okay, so what do we got? Like we got a comment here from Tom Parkin here. All right, that's right, exactly. Oh, well, there you go. So yeah, it could be a crossover from other timelines, but Um, so I'm Ebenezer Scrooge. You're the ghost of Christmas past.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we're saying there's this relationship, and in this world you're nagging me about something. Basically, you're showing me all
Right.
my past deeds. So who's in my real time was sort of filled that role in the real world,
Mhm.
or suddenly we're in Jurassic Park and I'm Sam Neill's character and you're a dinosaur.
And these are the time differentiated kind of multiverse that we're going.
It's a
that
it's
this
a
detective's parallel.
it's a parallel timeline, but there's still but I think the rules of it are that the relationships between the characters all kind of stay the same.
Okay.
And there was some sort of time change,
Okay.
butterfly effect that took place whatever,
That's
hundreds of years ago.
right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so then if they are all lizard people, it doesn't make a difference because it's just
It doesn't, because the lizards are they're played by our friends or by us.
All right, I'm seeing.
Yeah.
But I guess okay, and so now I'm seeing how you get to okay. I got it. I was having trouble with how you got to the Charles Dickens like Christmas Carol story.
It doesn't have to be that.
It's a butterfly effect. I get it.
But the idea is that the rules of parallel timelines are just that relationships always stay kind of the same.
Right.
But the superficial details change.
Right.
So is that actually superficial? I suppose if we live in a world of dinosaurs, it's not a superficial change.
Well, and that's how it's treated rightly. Like I guess. All right, that
it's an idea. We don't have to go that way. We don't have to go that way.
I don't know this. I don't know.
Well, let's look at it differently. So you're looking at parallel timelines, but they can't be. I think this is the thing: is that the closest parallel timeline will be basically just the same timeline, but the person survives, and it's going to be real obvious who the criminal was. So that's why I feel like we need to have some sort of greater limitation on it.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I mean, I just like the idea that because if they were vastly different, like it could be completely useless. You just have this random useless person who's like, "Why was I murdered?"
Well, that's yeah. So, but I don't know. I like the idea. I like the idea of being able to jump through different narrative realities, though. It's like you can have this you could have this dinosaur reality where dinosaurs are still around and we're all just going to work, but we've got dinosaurs as clients, and or whatever, or talking sandwiches. I don't know, but we can get really. What's interesting is that these parallel. How do they manifest themselves? Is this like a holodeck type of situation, or what are we talking about?
I was thinking that for a second about I don't know, just the speed of light sort of thing. But then I like the idea that they actually are, I don't know, somehow immersed in this world, so that there is a element of of danger there. So it's not just all this in a holodeck, nothing can hurt you, or even if it can hurt you, you can get out of it, right? But this will be, until they solve the crime. I don't know, almost Quantum Leap like, where they're
okay. So you can jump
solve it somehow.
So then you can jump to these alternate timelines and actually interact with the people directly,
right?
Not make plaster casts of these people or whatever, or make clones. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So that's interesting. So okay.
I'm gonna give them a giant sword of some sort. I'm just this picture I like. I want to incorporate that somehow.
Well, that's how they're slicing through they have this giant contraption they use to just whoosh, slice through time to we're going to go it's time to go to a parallel timeline.
Yeah, I just they just pull out their giant sword. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is. But if the person's got a giant sword, they're not a scientist.
I thought they were a detective. Maybe the world they're from, all the detectives, maybe they're from an anime dimension.
Well, they can be, they're detectives, but they're. But I'm just saying, if they have a giant sword, that creates an interesting juxtaposition. It's not a gumshoe detective. This is like if Thor was a gumshoe detective.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? We can make it. They can be in this other world where, yeah, people all have swords, and we can make it a whole superhero world. All these people have powers. Oh, actually, no. Then that makes it less fun when you get to different worlds.
Well, so okay. Are we? Let's be concrete here. So the powers can explore alternate timelines to I don't know, learn about common relationships to help solve crimes. And they have equipment is this giant dimensional carving sword. Or time, it's a time, I'm sorry, time slicer.
Time slicer. That sounds good. I was going to say time blade, but
Oh, time blade's even better. No, time
like
blade's much better. Time blade. Can slice into a new timeline or a parallel timeline. Okay. Well, we got that basic thing. I think I'm curious about the background of this character. I mean,
Are
if
they
you've got
just
the,
like a detective? Like, is this just a cop? Like,
well,
or
but where do you get the sword? I mean, that's the thing. It's like, did he find the? Because I mean, this is a pretty dramatic way to do this investigation. You know, I mean, if you're just a cop and it's like, okay, let me check it out. You know, I mean, the other cops are going to have questions.
well,
So does he do it in secret? Does he? I mean, which is kind of defeats the purpose if you're doing it in secret. So I mean, you want to, if you get a sword, you want to be able to show it off to people.
right.
So I'm thinking it's got to be like well, we talked about time traveling. So maybe this person's from the future, where all the detectives use swords of some sort. You know, maybe they all have time blades. By the way, is that the name of the character, Time Blade?
That sounds like a good name. Actually, I was going to say, what if this was there was obviously another one from a different dimension that came through and left the blade, and then now this is the new wielder of the time blade.
Oh, okay, so the person found the
So,
contemporary detective.
what was
That's good. Yeah, contemporary detective
making me
found
think of
Time Blade.
Do you remember that series?
Which one?
Witchblade.
No, I mean I remember the title, but I never read it. I don't think.
It was also a short-lived like TV series, which is I never read the books. I just
Oh,
saw
really?
yeah.
Okay. Contemporary detective found time blade left by future cop. Okay. So this is like any number of these. You used to have a lot of like the Greatest American Hero. You don't have the rule book. You don't have
Right.
the handbook. Or remember what was the one where they had the clock, the pocket watch that would have them travel through time.
Oh, the kid with the striped shirt and the pirate guy.
Yeah, the guy. Yeah, and they were always getting lost because they didn't know how to use it, or it was I don't know if it was broken. But it's in this genre of thing where I guess Quantum Leap is similar too, except
Yeah.
you have more control here, but you don't know what its limitations are or what
Right.
how to completely control it.
Right. Maybe there's because maybe this will go to like our villain. Maybe his psychologist is like the same sort of thing where he's trying to find his way back to his own universe.
He solves crimes in the process.
Yeah. Well, does he actually? Well, does he then solve the actual crime, or does he solve the crime in a different universe?
Well,
does he get back
to?
That's
the thing, yeah, because if he doesn't know how to get back, then every time you're exploring I think being able to find your way back would have to be kind of one of the first things you do.
Yeah, he must go back to the original universe. Maybe it's.
I would think like your first adventure, you'd probably get lost, but then I think that would have to be the first thing is to figure out how to get back. Otherwise, all your research is useless, right?
Maybe there's a time limit on how long he stays in each of these places, so that it automatically pulls him back. So.
And then you'd have stories in the future where it would be like, oh, the time limit didn't work, and now I'm stuck here. That sort of
thing. Yeah.
And then you have to keep carving till you find your way back. See, I always like it being a butcher knife. It's
I
like
like the idea of like
you're carving the time turkey.
I like the giant anime sword because I wanted to have like big anime sword
You're
battles.
right. It has to be that way. It has to be that way. But interesting to me is the idea that you have a very traditionally, he's a traditional detective wearing a shirt and tie. He's got his, badge inside his coat pocket or whatever, and then this giant sword.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I like the idea that the giant sword is just sort of kept in his pocket until he, whips it out, and suddenly it's a giant sword. I'm like,
So I was
oh, okay.
imagining it just slung on his back while he,
Oh, so he carries it around like that?
I was imagining it's huge. My
This
mind
creates,
is a massive
this
sword.
creates so many problems, though. It's like, because you're going to be, it's like, oh, let me help you solve the crime. Why do you have a sword on your back, sir?
Don't mind that. I guess maybe it's yeah. Well, it could be one of those things where it's a dimensional sword where he reaches for it and then it's there. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like he could be in his pocket and he just sort of pulls it out and it's like, oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
Let me pull this giant contraption from my pocket.
Yeah. Okay. So it's masked some way so that Yes. Okay.
Seems like it would have to be. But this is where if it was a future.
Well, if you're using anime logic, it wouldn't have to be. That's
Well, what's anime? Well, talk to me. I don't know.
because
Anime.
they just do weird stuff, and you'll just sure give him a giant sword. Nobody cares. He's just gonna walk around with that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that doesn't.
We'll make it something that masks itself. So then when he pulls it out, it's.
I mean, is it like this sword that we're looking at on this page here? Is it?
It doesn't have to be exactly like that. I forget what kind of knife that is, but it could be just It could just be a.
I mean, is it bigger than the person? I guess that's the question.
No. We can make it. I mean, not really a sensible size, but we can make it human size, something that he could wield. Something you can use in a fight. I've been watching a lot of Naruto, so there's some good sized swords in there.
Okay, so Time Blade. Contemporary detective found Time Blade left by future cop without any instructions.
By future cop, by alter. Oh yeah, I guess he's from the same timeline.
Yeah, because it's all time related, right?
Right.
So, but as we know, is like these parallel timelines could be wildly off. But it would have to. I think it should be the same timeline. Or no, if this cop is going.
Well, he doesn't know.
Or is it just a parallel timeline? Is it not a few? Maybe it's not from the future. It's just a parallel timeline.
Well, I like the idea that it's future because then that means that there's something coming. There could be some guy from the apocalypse that comes. There's all sorts of scenarios where it could be from the future. So it's something.
But if the power of the sword is that it takes you to parallel timelines, then it would be more of a lateral move than a linear move, right?
Right, but sometimes I thought we were saying he would go future or past. So
well, that's what I'm wondering. Is it going to give you past and future, or is it just lateral?
I think past and future and lateral, and that gives you the mystery of is this future cop that comes from the apocalypse? Is that our future, or is it not? Is that a branch off as a side parallel?
It could just be a parallel universe where they decided to use giant swords instead of guns.
Right? But
okay.
But you won't know.
But if we're talking about, I think this is I guess my concern here is what are the limitations here? Because if you can go forward and backward in time, do you have to go to a parallel timeline while going forward or backward?
I think it's normally forward and back. It's normally parallel, but the occasional forward and backward in time thing, because that's not its normal use, but because you're messing with dimensional things and time shifts and all that sort of stuff, you can end up anywhere, if you know how to use the sword.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a part of it,
Okay. Because I'm thinking if you can go forward and backward in a traditional sense, then once again, really easy to solve the crime.
Yeah.
So that's why the parallel one though, where you're going to parallel ones where you're finding this different, where you're basically examining the relationships, but under different themes. It's kind of an interesting. It's sort of thematic time, dimensional travel or theme. It's a different kind of. It's a weird power to do this kind of sitcom-y thing,
Yeah, I don't know. You could make it a procedural, just with,
I like the weirdness of this.
It's like
I like it. I like
it's
that
like
that it's like taking a TV trope and
Yeah.
turning it into a superpower. So
Yeah.
we could totally we can sell this as a TV show, man. Okay. All right. So, okay, what else do we got here? We got well, what is this leading us to? So, I mean, this guy's a cop. Why did he find this? What's the background of this character?
Oh, his personal biography would just.
Or do we want to go with? Well, what's the heroic psychology? Why don't we go with that first? So,
well, I think there's got to be some compelling reason for him to continue beyond just it helps him solve crimes. That there's something about the sword that
he's got a personal issue that he's trying to resolve.
And he's got to keep using it so that he can find some
like his
answer.
sister.
Yeah, he's Fox Mulder. His sister is into another timeline.
Well,
I don't know.
Also, is this a man or a woman? Because the picture was a woman, of course.
Yeah,
So
I like.
Does it feel more male right now? Does the person wear the uniform, the blue uniform, or is the person a detective?
Oh no, I was thinking a detective. Definitely trench coat.
Definitely plainclothes detective. Okay.
10th Doctor kind of like set
Okay.
up.
I'm not sure which one the 10th Doctor is.
Tennant. David Tennant.
Oh, okay.
I just watched that last Doctor Who episode, so I'm thinking of him specifically. Like,
well, I've been watching Jessica Jones, so I've got him in a purple suit.
Ah, all right.
Okay. So we got a night. So the guy looks. So this person is basically David Tennant with a giant sword.
Yes, and trench coat.
Okay. Well, let's appearance. Let's put that under appearance. It's basically David Tennant. Am I spelling that right?
I feel like there's two N's, but I could be wrong.
With a giant sword and a badge. Yeah, tell me how to spell it. You're the Whovian here. Okay, so David Tennant with a giant sword, and of course the civilian is basically David Tennant without a giant sword.
Right. Yeah, two N's. Tenn. Yes.
But it's an A. It's an A.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So.
Just say that it have codes in it, like the store. So when it'll say. So if I spelled it wrong, it means cold.
Okay.
Read it, please.
All right.
I think we need to figure out to those entrances to see if we can incorporate those as random elements into our character.
Every time.
Read it out, please.
I just did.
Well, read it out loud.
I don't need to read it out loud.
Read it out loud. I'm not leaving until you read it out loud.
Okay, so this.
I already answered this question.
What?
Said I already answered this question.
Anyways, you have a.
I got 11 more minutes.
Okay, let's just say this. You have to know that until you're done.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I feel like maybe we should add more minutes to the clock. So there was some sort of crime that he's trying to, or not. It doesn't even have to be a crime. It could be just like a missing parent, or it could be somebody that's missing, or maybe he lost his treasured antique vase or something like that.
What if, and this is totally stealing from like The Punisher, like what if his family was murdered, in an attempt to kill him, so he's trying to solve his own murder. some sort, his own attempted murder. He doesn't know who did it, and it has something to do with the future. So it's almost it's a Terminator kind of story. Terminator Punisher.
Hey, I almost don't want to. Well, okay, here's a question. Why did this guy become a cop in the first place, or become a detective in the first place? Was it because of some sort of, was it because his parents were murdered or something?
Maybe he was just a good student, wanted to do something with his. I mean, maybe he just wanted to be a cop, and maybe he tried to be in the FBI. Maybe he's.
Because people just want to be cops.
I mean, sometimes people want to just help people. I mean, I don't know.
I'm trying to say this. I'm asking this because it may give us.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't focusing on that aspect. I was like, he's a cop because he wants to be a cop.
So
why is he?
There's stuff we can find here. We can harvest this for. I mean, I kind of just the Punisher. I don't want to do the same. Something.
No, not this. I'm just saying. There could be some. I'm thinking more of like what compels him to keep going. In this sense, like what is the mystery that he's trying to unravel? But okay, biography.
But I'm kind of glomming onto like missing parents or something, or potentially like, but it could be murdered parents. But I kind of feel like it shouldn't be like too contemporary. I kind of feel like it should be something that happened in the past.
What if he's a Japanese, and it has something to do with the internment of the Japanese in the U.S. during World War II, and a loss of maybe it was a lost town, maybe a lost camp, and so he has no idea where the camp went.
So it's not the types of crimes that he normally solves. So like a whole camp disappeared.
Right. So he's missing like great grandparents or grandparents. I'm not sure what they would be at this point.
Well, let's see. Well, we're talking about like George Takei. Yeah. He was actually born. Was he born or when he was a kid in one of those?
Actually, yeah, you're right. So yeah, so
his age. So he would be a grandfather, right? So it'd be a grandson, right. Probably.
Yeah. But that would be born, like the ones that were moved. I mean, so even
great. It'd have to be older though if it's. So it'd have to be great grandson or something if we're.
Right. But what if it's? The question is, what happened to the camp that his grandparents are still if his grandparents are, I don't know. Yeah, just what happened to the entire.
This gets complicated because if the grandparents were in a camp that disappeared, their kids were not also in that camp that disappeared.
Well, yeah, no, they were. So how are they there? That's the thing.
How is anybody? Well, how is anybody not? I mean, how is anybody there at all?
Exactly. That's the mystery.
Well, but I'm saying this person would not know their parents or something.
No, they do. Their parents are there. Maybe their parents aren't really their parents, but maybe they're clones of their parents. There's all sorts of sci-fi.
But how would you know that this is? How would you even know this mystery was a mystery?
Because the future cop comes back and says, "Ah."
Well, except that we know there are alternate timelines here, so it's like, well, that was just an alternate timeline. Because I knew my parents and I knew my grandparents, so it couldn't have been here.
But wait, what if he can prove that they're not his actual parents and they're in fact, replicas from the future, made to mimic his
replicas
parents
from the future to fill in the. Well, okay, so that's a different. Okay, so this time cop comes back to basically reveal to him that his parents are not real,
right?
That they're fake. They're simulacrums. Is that the right pronunciation? Okay, and so he does research and he realizes that his real parents had disappeared, or his real, not his parents, but his grandparents and
his parents'
parents disappeared. That is so weird. Because it's like, well, I mean, it's almost like he doesn't even exist in this timeline. So that would be almost the answer, is that he was transported from another universe into this one.
What if the whole thing is he's not supposed to exist?
He's not. Yeah. So it's like there's really so all of his. Okay, so that's the big mystery. Yeah. Okay, this is interesting. Okay. Okay, so Time Cop reveals that let's come up with a name for the character?
Uh,
How about Timberlake? Bobby Timberlake, and it's a Timberlake. I don't know. Or Blake. Okay, Timmy Blake. Tim Blake. Timothy Blake becomes Time Blade. Oh, except this is Japanese, right?
I liked him being Japanese, so I was going to look up some common Japanese names.
Well, except that he's not. If it was from he's Japanese American.
Yeah.
So at this generation probably would be more Americanized, right?
Probably, but you probably still, I guess you're right. Yeah.
But still, it'd be Timmy something. Like what would be? I mean, the last name would still
Why
be
Tim?
Time Blade. Tim. Just how about it would be Kronos?
That's what I just said under my breath. It's Kronos. What's another time name?
Well, what's a Japanese? What's a last name? A Japanese surname for time, or am I even using Japanese names correctly?
Could just make him Abe.
I think we have a character that we
did. We.
I want to know time. I think I saw Ku was maybe.
Actually, did we make a? Remember when we made the time tree? Didn't we do? I'm just thinking.
We did. Yeah. So we're okay. So we're getting cliched now. We're making all of our time characters Japanese.
Well, what's the first name? And we'll just make it like a Peter Parker type thing, alliterated.
Timmy. No, I don't know. It doesn't have to be Timmy. Well, it could be Vlade.
What?
Like Blade. Like
Blade. Knife cutter.
Cutter. Well, Cutter would be a cool last name. The basic mystery of the person, basically, there's no way that his parents or his lineage could be there. That I think is kind of interesting. It doesn't have to be Japanese, so it could be.
I like the Japanese. I don't know.
I'm fine with that.
Like I said,
let's come back to the name, because I feel like we've got other stuff we could get in here. I just wanted to reference. What's a first name? Just a first name. We can figure out the last name later.
We can name him like Harry Hanzo or something like that.
Okay.
Or,
that's the name.
What's the what was the?
What's Hanzo mean? What does Hanzo mean?
The blind swordsman.
Oh wait, we can't take somebody else's name.
I know.
Okay, no, skip the name. Let's just call him Harry. I just want to reference other than Time Blade. Okay. So Time Cop reveals that Harry's parents.
I don't like the name Harry.
Couldn't have existed. Okay, that's
I think Henry. I don't like the H. I don't know.
I'm fine with not being Harry. Just Timmy.
Timmy.
Oh. We can come back to this. I just want a reference point. Okay, so so there's that mystery of trying to find out where the parents came from, and where how he could be there if his parents never existed.
Right.
That's the central mystery.
So why
but at the same time, this person's a cop. Huh?
So we didn't. So his biography is Japanese American. Where in the country does he live?
How big of a town?
I think of him like, I don't know. I kind of think of him like not a Texas Ranger, but I'm thinking of like Walker, Texas Ranger. Like,
well, why not?
Maybe we could put him in middle America somewhere.
Why not just make it a Texas Ranger? That's interesting because that gives us a lot of space to work with. Why not?
Okay.
Texas Ranger.
It's in my head starting to look a lot like the Mandalorian or something.
Well, except the Mandalorian's not a cop.
Well, we can put him in Houston. Yes, I read my message.
No, I'm not here.
No, I'm not. I've got 30 seconds, babe.
Okay.
No, I've got 30 seconds and then I got to do more. You're holding me up. I'm trying to finish this. You know I got to do this. All right. Can you go see what your mother and Aaron are doing? All right. Okay.
Uh-oh. We're running out of time. Oh, we're going to go over dance. Okay. It's the time.
All right. So we go into... We did not make it. We didn't finish all.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did not do it in the 40-minute time period. So that means it's about that we have to jump into. Hold on, I'm on the wrong screen because I was looking at the chats, which sort of stopped real quick. Okay, it's now time for the
lightning round. Know what the lightning round? Uh-oh, I just lost my script.
What is the lightning round?
What is the lightning round, dude?
This is an excellent question. What we're going to do is we didn't finish coming up with all the elements for our superhero in 40 minutes. So what we're going to do is give ourselves 2 additional minutes per character element, and then a revision period of like a 5-minute revision period after that. So let's see, what are the elements that we didn't quite get?
Another one.
Okay.
Right.
I think we did not get the civilian name.
Right. We got.
I think that's a placeholder. We did come up with a basic biography, though. We didn't work out psychology. We didn't work out.
Little, I think. I mean, well, I guess that's right above the
motive a little bit, but not. We can develop that more.
Okay.
So the name, the civilian name, psychology, weaknesses, skills, appearance. We worked out.
Yeah.
We don't have any supporting characters, enemies, or social issues at this point.
Well, I think we got social issues if we.
Well, the internment. Yeah, you're right.
Japanese internment camps. That's a whole story into itself that makes our character.
Okay, you're right. No, okay, so we can knock that off the list.
I'm Chinese dragon.
Very nice. All right.
All right.
Okay, then. Thank you, Josie.
Thank you. Can you go back to your show? I'm doing my show.
Okay,
go back to
only
your show.
one thing though.
Yes.
Can you please glue him out?
Yeah, after. Yes.
Okay.
All right, take him with you then. All right.
Okay, so what do you want to start with? The name?
Yeah. Well,
we've got to get our time. We got to get our clock up, right?
Okay.
Can you?
Okay. For this, we want our 2-minute clock.
2 minute, and let's take the volume down to 40.
40?
That's what I had the other one on.
Okay.
All right. So name. So not Timmy. You don't like Timmy. What do you want?
Just go for it. Okay.
Sorry. I thought it started.
No, go for it. Run for it.
Sorry. We should get this in the right. Oops. Sorry, I'm fiddling with it too. Okay, can we start it over? Let's start the clock over. I'm going to let you touch it. I don't want to touch the clock. Start the clock over.
All right. And here we go.
Okay, what's the Timmy Time Blade?
No.
Timothy.
I was looking. What if we call him David because it's David Tennant?
We could do that. I'm fine with that. David. So, Dave, what would be the last name?
David. Let's see. Japanese names.
What's Japanese word? Japanese word for time?
Oh, I don't know. That's.
Well, I'm looking it up here. It's Jikan or Jiken. Jikan. I don't know how. Jikan. Did you hear that?
Yeah, but that's too on the point. Like, because that's like, Darth Vader, where anybody who knows that language is like, oh, his name is Dark Father. It's like, why is his name? Yeah, I don't know. Just a.
Okay, fine. Really clock. What's clock? Tokei.
We have.
David Tokay. It's a clock.
What about Chikasa?
What's
What about
that?
Chibana? What about Daigo? What about
Whatever. What are those?
those are
Whatever.
Japanese
Pick
names?
one. Pick one. We're running out of time.
Doi?
What are? Which one do you like?
I like Daigo.
Okay. How do you spell it?
Daigo.
So David. Daigo. So David Daigo.
David Daigo.
It's got that alliteration that I thought you didn't like.
Well, that's what I said. Why don't we just do an alliteration like a Peter Parker with a Japanese last name?
David
An
Daigo. That's
Americanized
great.
first name.
I love it. Okay.
Oh, hey, how did I become Dave?
It's because you logged out and logged back in again.
I didn't notice that this whole time I've been you.
Yeah. Yeah, that anytime you log out, it automatically gives you the name of the person who's last in there.
There I am.
Ta-da! Yeah, it's Terrance. All right. So, okay, so let's go down to psychology. Like you said, we may actually have this more or less figured out. But let's hit the clock.
And here we go.
All right. So, I mean, civilian psychology. I mean, the civilian is kind of like, what was the psychology before this time cop came? So, I mean, what was this person had just been?
Well, his family, I mean, maybe it's just a question of like his family history has injustice and he wants to, save people from injustice in that simple sense, that simple idea of, protecting all people under the law.
It seems to me like people have reasons for becoming cops.
That's what I just said. His whole family has a history.
His family's been there. He comes from a family of cops.
Yeah. Well, no, the family history has injustice embedded in it. So his feeling to become a cop is
What's the injustice? Why does he decide that the cops?
Japanese internment. His family had been interred in the.
Well, why would you? I don't understand why that would make you want to be part of the man. The cops are the man, right? They're the people that actually,
Because you want to enforce actual laws and not let people who are not enforcing the laws be the ones who are the authoritarians over you.
So you're basically trying to join the authorities.
You want
if you
want to apply the law.
If I'm one of the authorities, then I'm not
the same
likely
reason
to be.
That people become lawyers and judge. They want to apply the law effectively across.
I always like how you just sort of wave it over, and it's like, well, they're going to do it because they just want to be a lawyer. And I'm like, no, but that doesn't really answer anything.
No, but I'm saying it's because they know what injustice is. And therefore, they're in their personal family history. They've seen
that injustice was done by the government.
Right.
Why would you think?
But it's not the government. It's police. It's the government. And so it's like
that wouldn't have protected them. That wouldn't have protected anybody from the internment camps.
But the idea of why you became a cop was because your family had faced injustice. Therefore, you want to.
Why would you have any trust? I want another 2 minutes on this one. Why would you have any trust in the government, though?
Because you're going to be the person who makes the decision instead of somebody who's definitely not you.
You're not. You're not one making the rules. You're not the person who's in charge.
You don't. But you are if you're the cop. If you're the cop, you're the one.
No, you're following laws. The people that.
But it's the mentality that gets you into joining the force and being a part of law enforcement is that you want to enforce the law. You've seen dirty cops. You've seen dirty government. You've seen systemic injustice put upon you, and therefore you join.
But I don't see any way the internment camps leads to that because that was people.
Well, that's its family history, but that makes sense, and in the sense of like, yeah, I know what injustice is in my family history, in my demographic history.
I don't understand the solution because you're basically saying I know but it's injustice. It's not just any injustice. It's injustice done by government authority figures. So why would you, unless you were joining specifically to undermine that, to say like I want to be there, so that the next time they put down unjust, they put down an unjust dictum of collecting people, I want to be there so that I can refuse to do it and convince other people.
I mean, this is ancient. I mean, this is great grandparents, right?
Well, that's not why he joined the cops.
But
then.
no, I'm saying I'm just saying because he knows of injustice, he wants to be on the side of actual justice. I'm not making it specific to that individual thing and stopping that individual thing from happening again.
It's a completely different type of injustice, though. You realize that, right?
But it's injustice. That's what I'm saying.
Law and order is not the same as justice. I want another 2 minutes. I think this is a key point. I don't like this.
Okay, what is your drive then? What is your reason? I think we just forget about the time right now.
I don't know that the I don't think the internment camp narrative necessarily affected him. And in this timeline, maybe they came to the country after that.
So then why is he a cop?
Well, I'm just taking that out of the equation. He's a cop because maybe there was a TV show that he really liked. No, that's a real reason people become that, is like they become like a big fan of okay, no, here we go. There was like a fictional cop that he was a big fan of, and he decided he wanted to become a cop because of that.
But you can have both.
Well, I'm saying all I'm saying is that it genuinely confounds me, the idea that you would look at the internment camps of World War II and say, well, this is a reason I'd want to be a cop, because this was this general concept of injustice, even though joining the police force would more likely put you on the side of the people putting people into internment camps rather than not. So, I mean, to me, it's like it doesn't connect unless the idea is that you're going to go there to try to thwart those efforts if they ever happen again. I want to be there in case they decide to create injustice again. But like you said, it's 3 generations away. So
yeah, that to me, it's a very valid reason to
not to be a cop,
to hold on to find a reason to become part of law enforcement in any sense, or to join the military or something, because you're looking at your family.
You'd want to be a lawyer or something.
Well, you could become a lawyer. That's part of the justice system. That's all I'm saying. It could drive you to become part of the justice system.
Well, but a lawyer would fight against cops, or feds putting people in internment camps.
No, would fight to have equal application of the law. That's what is driving them. That's what I think is.
I just don't. I think they're different. I don't see how he would be a cop.
Is it just to get revenge? Is it vengeance? It's because equal application of the law matters to them.
I don't see anybody looking at the internment camps and saying, "Boy, I need to be part of the authorities."
But that's because
unless you want to undermine them,
the authorities, and you're saying that that's all they can be.
No, they can.
If I join the cops,
but you're not. If I'm a cop, I don't make those choices. If I'm a cop, I don't make those choices. I mean, if I'm a lawyer, if I'm a judge, if I'm a
you do. You're still a person.
But I don't see why a cop. I mean, I can understand being involved in the justice system.
It's the bottom tier, right? It's the one that is.
You don't become a cop if you want to be a lawyer.
No, I'm not saying that he wants to be a lawyer. You don't have to want to be a lawyer.
There's no cop that would be in a position to stop this kind of dictum, right?
But as a cop, right? You're your boots on the ground, your feet on the ground. You're a person that is part of, you're part of the system, right? And the only way
if you're to undermine the system,
and you can't change the system from just being at the top always. Sometimes you got to work your way up from the bottom through it.
But maybe I should just say this: it's a horrible strategy for changing the system if you're trying to avoid things like
being part of the system. You're one of many, right?
I mean, I think the key is that he joined it to undermine the system in case there was injustice like that happened again.
Go do something else, please.
It's not because he believes. He's joining it because he believes that the system sometimes does wrong,
right?
And he wants to be in a position to stop that from happening.
Right.
I mean, that I could see, but I
Right.
don't think
He
he's
opens
going
just
in
being
because
in a
he thinks
position
that
that's there to enforce the law. Like that's
no, it's the law that you have to understand. It was legal to put
I
people in
understand
internment.
that. I understand that, but that's the same as saying, that like the Nazis had no choices. They were just following the law.
Well,
And
that's what I'm saying. No, but
but
he's
if you're
undermining. The
saying,
point is
well,
he
I'm
was
going
not
to become a
going into.
soldier, not to become a Nazi, but I'm going to become a soldier so
You're
that
going to become a soldier so
be
that
the
you can be a
person that says,
conscientious
no, this
objector.
is wrong. Because if those people didn't follow those laws, the people that enforce those
This is
laws
a
are the ones that
okay. No. I if that's what it is. I mean, I'm saying that like the justice that this person's interested in is not enforcing the laws. The justice this person's interested in is
well, it's a higher law.
well is undermining
Well, no,
bad
they
laws.
want equal application of the laws, but they want the laws to make sense too. I mean,
They
that
want to
would be a
undermine.
driving force. It's not that they're going to be like rogue cop all the time. It's just that I'm talking about why they became a cop. What their realization as a cop may be completely different. But the driving force for somebody to become a member of law enforcement or part of the judicial system in any way, shape, or form can be that simple. That they just want law to be applied equally.
I I don't buy it. I just don't buy that. That would be actually. If he's there to undermine corrupt to fight corruption, that would that I understand, and basically say and corruption at various levels. I think it's a poor spot to be in to fight that corruption, but I think it's kind of a bad strategy. But maybe he's not that smart. I mean,
It's
I think
just
he'd be better off as a lawyer or as a lawmaker.
maybe he's not equipped to be a lawyer. Maybe he doesn't think of himself as a lawyer. He thinks of himself as a
Well, I
guy
know,
with
but it just
he's running
I don't
around with a
understand how
giant
anybody would do
sword.
it.
You know, everybody doesn't want to be a lawyer.
I mean, I
Filing
can see it.
papers is not as exciting as sliding over the top of your car and whipping out your gun and chasing
Well,
the
what
bad.
if it's like, okay, this is. I mean,
He watched the training video. He watched the recruitment video. It was like, that's what I want to do.
no, I mean, I'd be more. No, I can buy that a lot more. That's the thing.
We can go
But
Walker, Texas
that's what I'm saying.
Ranger.
Like he was into a. Maybe he watched like Jean-Claude Van Damme in Time Cop.
Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris.
Well, whatever. But I'm just saying, Jean-Claude Van
Van Damme.
Damme was in Time Cop, and that at least creates a parallel with our character. And he can say, "Oh, I really love that movie Time Cop, so I wanted to become a cop."
Well, he watched Walker, Texas Ranger with Chuck Norris and wanted to become
Oh,
a
I
Texas
see.
Ranger.
That's fine. I'm totally good with that. I just don't think the internment
I
camp
find that
would
more
inspire you to become
motivating,
a cop.
like a personal family story. I find strange.
I love you.
But okay.
I love you.
However you get there, Dave. He's a cop.
I love you.
But it doesn't take.
Joseph, please.
See,
Please. No, I'm not done. You can see I'm not done.
see.
Well, then when are you done?
Okay, it doesn't. I think we're gonna just leave that section blank.
Hey, Daddy.
Hold on. Let me stop for a minute and have a conversation here. You can write out that section how you like it.
All right, as you can see, we've had a disagreement. Terrance has run away because he can't stand the heat. Let's review our character here. So we're coming up with a character called Time Blade, aka or his civilian name is David Daigo, and he's Japanese American Texas Ranger. He's a Texas Ranger, and his background is well, okay. He's a contemporary detective. There was a time cop that came. There was a cop who came back in time to help him uncover the mystery of. Well, it wasn't a mystery until he came back, but the time cop comes back and reveals that David's family is actually they're fake. They're like clones or something, and that he doesn't actually have a real family in this timeline. And he sort of clues him off to this mystery that his great grandparents and grandparents were in an internment camp that disappeared. This was during World War II. Anyway,
Now,
I think we're just skipping the psychology right now for.
I was going to say another thing. We don't have to actually set it in our current time, and we could make it. They could be direct parents.
That's fine, but there's no, I don't see unless unless I see that would be a situation you join the cops because you think you might be protected from internment camps.
So there you go.
No, okay. See, I'm okay with that.
That works.
But I don't see it as being it's a protective measure. It's not about justice. It's like I'm worried. Okay, so I'm just talking about the logic, man.
I just think that my logic was fine. I just don't understand how you don't see that. But okay.
I don't know. It's conflating different types of justice, I guess, in my mind. But okay, so do we want to set it in the modern time and just say that was the reason he comes from a long line of cops, but that was the original reason why they became cops in the first place? Was they were hoping?
Now he's a long line. I'm saying we could just set it further back in time. Then,
well, we could, but if we want to set it in contemporary era, then we could say it's like, well, his grandfather became a cop because he was hoping that would shield him from internment camps in the future.
Okay.
And then his dad was a cop, and then he became a cop as part of the family tradition. Okay. So, anyway, sorry. Okay, so his heroic
long line of cops and family.
So he joined the family business. Okay, heroic psychology. Well, we already kind of figured that out.
I think we've already covered that.
He's trying to
unravel the mystery behind his
behind missing
internment camp.
And impossible family, basically. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So weaknesses. We already got that. No instruction booklet. It has to kind of learn.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He doesn't fully understand his powers or devices.
Time blade. Okay. It occurs we haven't talked about. I mean, the future cop died at some point. We don't really know, or disappeared. Well, we don't have to do that now. Skills.
Time.
Forensics. Forensic science.
Yes. Oh, we're getting some new texts here in the chat. Oh.
Let's block that user.
So it doesn't forensic science, your basic detective skills, police procedure, basic guns like firearms.
Okay, firearms. So ballistics.
Okay.
Well, but firearms.
Firearms, but what about is he a sharpshooter? Any SWAT team? Any of that? Sort of hand to hand. So he's got a big giant blade. So
well, which is not. I like the idea that he doesn't know how to use a sword.
Well, I want to have sword fights.
Yeah, but it's a giant sword, so it's going to dominate anybody else's sword. So.
Yeah.
But I like the idea though that maybe is this a technological sword?
I guess.
Does it have a button on it which is like fight mode?
No, not that it makes it fight for him, but this that I just think about a high speed time fight, with that it gives some sort of aspect of that could be involved in his fighting with the sword. If he has other time enemies.
I guess I like the idea that he fumbles around with it but still wins, but maybe there's. But you'd rather he be a skilled swordsman?
Yeah.
Okay, he's a skilled swordsman. Okay.
Yes. You could just say swordsmanship.
Swordsmanship. Okay. 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 We got that worked out. Okay. Hit the clock. Start the clock.
All right.
Well, so his parents are not supporting characters. We have the time. We have the future cop. Is the future cop still around?
I like him being gone and dead. Like that's
Well,
otherwise
yeah,
he would have somebody to tell him how
he
to use
wouldn't
the
have the
sword.
sword otherwise. So the future cops. So does he have like a precinct captain or what's the? Or no, he's a Texas Ranger. So he's kind of the boss. I mean, is there a? He has people that works for him. If he's a Texas Ranger, then if we're doing it by Walker Texas Ranger style, he has his deputies, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think he does. He just cover an area. I've seen the show like 3 times in my life.
I think the Texas Ranger is basically like
like a
it's like the Texas
regional
Bureau of
police
Investigation. It's like the Texas Bureau of Investigation. It covers the whole state. Now he may
okay.
have a jurisdiction, but they're basically state. It's like the FBI. The jurisdiction is the whole state.
Okay.
I mean, in fact, I think it's basically exactly like FBI. Just it's the state of Texas.
Okay.
And they wear hats. So, so he's got deputies. Probably is he dating anybody?
What if his parents are support? Like, what if he's still?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they'd still be around. They're just, are they in on it?
He knows that they're fake, though. That's the thing. That this future cop came and showed them that they're fake, but they're still around, so he has to deal with them.
Right.
So interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I think he should have a love interest.
Is that somebody in the law enforcement field or something completely out of it?
Some cowgirl or something.
Okay, rancher. Okay, rancher girlfriend.
Yes.
That way he has plenty of horses.
I don't know. Were there internment camps in Texas? I was thinking, like, where were they? I don't know where they all were.
We will have to do more research on that, especially if we're going to try to be sensitive about the.
Yeah, I know they had German POWs in Texas. I remember seeing something about a camp there for them. But
well, okay, we got enemies, and then we're done.
Well, that's what I was going to ask about is parents. So time starting.
Yeah.
Are his parents in on it or not? Like, do they know? Like, do they know that why they're duplicates and they're just not telling him? Like, are they part of a nefarious plot or are they just witless? The whole thing.
Interesting. Well, let's talk about who the enemy is. I mean, the person that created the simulacrums.
Right. Whoever took the internment camp.
Do we have to solve the mystery? I kind of feel like I want to leave that a little bit open ended, but I mean, we can say the parents are potential enemies. I don't want to solve the mystery right now.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I mean, and maybe it's a question then of like, whoever killed the time cop.
Time cop.
We can name that time cop Timmy. How's that?
Okay, Timmy Time Cop. Whoever killed Timmy Time Cop. Okay. Parents, whoever killed Timmy Time Cop, and then whoever. Well, I mean, it's wait. So I mean, the only presumption is like they must have been trying to manipulate David Daigo's timeline somehow, right? So I mean, he must be important in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So
that gets us back to the Terminator kind of concept where Timmy came back in time to protect him.
But they didn't kill him.
It wasn't coming back to kill him, but was coming back to protect him from something.
Well, but I think the thing about it is just they already did a lot of damage. They basically eliminated his family from this timeline. So it's not just as simple as the Terminator thing, because in a Terminator situation, they're trying to kill him. In this case, they're trying to somehow influence him.
Well, what if they? I don't know, because like, okay, so in Terminator, because it's, the guy comes back in time and ends up being his father, right?
Yeah.
So the paradox, what if he's part of some paradox actually, in that sense that
Well, I guess I kind of like I want to leave that mystery a little open
right,
ended.
right, that can come when we actually write it all up, but like
But I mean, it's a big. I mean, it's a big thing to basically replace the person's parents with fake parents, right?
right,
Um,
we're assuming that that his enemies did that and not,
you're right. We don't know. We don't know. So I can maybe I should take that off there. We really don't. It's a mystery. So we really don't know. We don't know. Let's just put a big question mark.
well, I think we could say whoever killed the time cop, whoever killed Timmy's murderer.
We don't know because the thing is, if the time cop was coming back to reveal that his parents were simulacrums, and then he's actually trying to unravel this thing, which could actually have been done to protect David.
See, I was thinking he was coming back to protect David, and therefore he
Well, he would be saying that.
and in that process, before he dies, he tells him,
Well, but I'm just saying, if this other group had created the fake parents as a means of, for good purposes, then that would mean that the time cop is probably a bad guy.
I guess that's true. So we don't know.
To me, it comes out to like him being alive or dead is not the issue. The issue is trying to either move him out of a parallel timeline or trying to influence him to do certain things. Yeah. Because it could just be that this person was taken from a parallel timeline and sent over here to be protected from other folks.
Or anyway. I mean, there's all sorts of ways we can. Like,
there's a lot of ways to go.
If time cannot be, like, if he's like an essential point in time, and he ends up, they try to change it, and he still stays. So, like, they eliminated his reason for existing, and somehow he still exists.
Okay, I think we're just going to say it's a mysterious enemies. We don't really know the motivations. We do know there's a mystery, though.
Yes.
I mean, I guess the enemies could be like coworkers or something. Maybe there's a drug cartel. Well, okay.
Actually, I mean, he is solving murders too, so yeah.
So I mean, it could be organized crime. Maybe we should do that.
Yeah.
But does the organized crime involved? Yeah. Anyway, that's crime and mysterious time people. Okay. All right. So okay. I think we maybe did kind of the revision stuff in that last few minutes, so we kind of cheated.
Yeah, we definitely cheated.
Okay, so all right. Well, let's just review the character real quick. All right, the character's name is David Daigo was a normal Texas Ranger until a time cop came back to reveal that his parents never existed. Then when the time cop disappeared and left his sword behind.
Say now armed with the time blade.
Now armed with the time blade. David Daigo is Time Blade. he solves crimes by slicing himself into parallel dimensions, parallel timelines, where relationships are maintained, but the broad details of the reality change drastically. And he has to, and the way he solves crimes is by finding those relationships and sort of figuring out how they relate to his own reality. What else is there, Terrance?
I think that covers it, right? I mean, that gives us a broad stroke of him. Yeah.
Yeah, we got more details in there elsewhere. So, all right. Well,
I like it. I like
I
him
think
as
it's
a, you know, I don't know. He does feel very like, I don't know if that's 80s, 90s sitcom, like not sitcom, but like situational, like adventure police show, like definitely.
Well, it has that. Well, it's just it's a mashup. You know, it's kind of a weird. So that would make it a '90s thing. It would be sort of like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer type of thing, where you take a conventional element and you add this kind of supernatural element to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah. Anyway, I'll be interested. So I guess next week we would normally do a live draw where we would design the visual elements of the character, but Terrance won't be here next week, so I'm gonna have a guest host, and we'll brainstorm a character of our own, and then
Okay.
the following week. We'll be back and we'll actually be doing the live draw. So we'll
Do you want to? Okay. So I was gonna say I might be able to. I like this character because he's looks like David Tennant. Looks like Doctor Who with giant swords. I could totally draw that like right now.
There you go. There you go. And I kind of feel like this character could easily fit in the same realm as like was it Clavis? Was that the name of the character from last time?
Yeah, I see that. I see that. But,
Yeah.
well, I guess Clavis isn't that close. Maybe we should have made him a like DEA or something, like a
Drug enforcement agent.
like a federal like investigator instead of a Texas Ranger.
Well, we can talk about that during the live draw. Maybe we can make that revision or something. So.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Do you want to talk about it now?
Yeah, might as well. Revision period.
What do we want to do? Federal? Okay. Do we want to do it? Not a Texas Ranger, but a.
Like then he could just be over the entire like Western region. Some FBI or something.
Well, I mean, do we want it to be yeah, it could be FBI or it could be a. Or well, isn't there a he could be a not a ranger, but a aren't there federal marshal?
Oh yeah, what does
United
federal
States Marshal Service? Yeah, why don't we make him a U.S. Marshal?
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's I think I was saying FBI, but that's even closer to what a Texas Ranger is, I think. So where did I have that? Oh, Texas Rangers, but actually a U.S. Marshal. Okay, and that way they can go and visit our Snoot. Nobody knows Snoot because we didn't show that. We didn't show that one. We didn't do that one.
Oh.
No, that was one of the practice ones. Snoot was in the practice session. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, folks, where's our script here? Our outro script.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
This has been a long episode.
It's been winding. So
that's it for this episode. But we want to hear from you, True Conceivers. What did we get right?
Right. What did we get wrong?
Leave us a comment or email at heroicpod@gmail.com, and we'll respond to your feedback on upcoming episodes. Don't forget to show your support, share, subscribe, or just hit that like button. It all helps. And that's a wrap. Keep on hero smithing, True Conceivers. We'll see you next time.
Dave will see you next time on Heroic Origins.
Terrance and I will return in 2 weeks for the Heroic Origins live draw. Okay. I'll be here next week with a guest host for another character brainstorm. So, but until then, thop. All right.